We continue our story of Brotherhood of Steel, Appalachia.
Rising from the ashes.
A new dawn has risen on the Appalachian plains as Vault 76 finally opens its door. Various workers, entrepreneurs, doctors, and families who have been waiting for their moment to truly become the future of Appalachia begin to emerge from the vault. These people make up the new DNA of not only Appalachia but the Brotherhood of Steel as well. From the vault a new hope opens up to the wastes. And even though it was tough and nothing would be the same as they once remembered before the bombs fell, they were ready to be wastelanders. Vault Tech training had helped mold and shape most of the vault dwellers to prepare them for returning to the surface, but they were not aware of the risks that awaited them. Mutated animals and insects were in small comparison to giant green super mutants that could tear your limbs off as easily as tearing paper in half. The scorched plague was a distant but very real reality that many new wastelanders would painfully endure. But through the hardships the image of hope persisted. Friendly settlers were scattered across Appalachia and many were willing to help even if they had little to offer. Rick Hardy, the future founder of this new chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel, emerged from Vault 76 with his friend. Pat was a Vault Tech security officer. He accompanied Rick through their adventures in this new wasteland. Later on, they ran into a wastelander named Lance. They talked and exchanged information before they formed a group to traverse the wastes together. They eventually made their way to the Grafton Dam. This is where they discovered traces of the Brotherhood of Steel. These holotapes they discovered, along with notes penned from multiple members of the Brotherhood of Steel. One member of the team knew about power armor, mentioned on one of these mysterious tapes, and recreated the instructions on how to operate the equipment. This proved vital in this discovery and later was passed on before he was killed in combat. Issues arose of course, and holotapes were fickle and hard to transcribe with the equipment they had in the beginning. Unknowns such as secret locations referred to as Lost Hills were untraceable. And this mysterious Maxon character was mentioned in almost every holotape acquired. This group of settlers became infatuated with retracing the footsteps of the Brotherhood of Steel and later found more data and more holotapes from other members of the Brotherhood. Eventually Rick, speaking for the group, decided it was time to reforge the steel of this Brotherhood group, and this was how the Brotherhood of Steel was reborn from the ashes of its former self here in Appalachia. The Brotherhood of Steel in Appalachia was resurrected, and with that the vision of establishing order in the hostile wasteland, to protect mankind going forward, and to reforge a basic structure of government, to promote stability in the region in due time. These three members agreed to not have an elder in place to begin with, but to form what they called a Paladin Council to lead its soldiers and citizens going forward until something more concrete was built. Eventually this newly restored order of knights, officers, and scribes began to make headway to combat the hostiles of Appalachia and the Scorched Plague. The beginning members forged a path to the old headquarters of Fort Defiance and retook it after a long and fierce engagement of Scorched and Beasts, with the help from some wanderers, who later took up arms in this new order. Unfortunately, with great victories come great losses, and the heaviest loss was that of Knight Lance. This caused a lingering depression amongst the posse for many days and even weeks. But triumphant and determined, Fort Defiance became the centerpiece for West Virginia. Plans of restoring order continued to rage on, and the Brotherhood soon self-proclaimed Fort Defiance as the official governing body of the Eastern Commonwealth. This became a new era in Appalachia, under the rule of a military feudal order. Steel citizens were the common name for those who lived under the Brotherhood influence of Appalachia. The citizens were pleased as they had safety for once, and the Brotherhood of Steel allowed those who did not wish to be taxed or join the communal farming project to have their own sovereignty, but at the cost of the loss of free protection. However, they would always offer various mercenary groups that have formed as options for property protection. The government was led by the Paladin Council, which later became the Elder, as the leader of the government. though they announced on People's Pip-Boy and ham radios across Appalachia that the transition to a civilian form of government would occur in the future. This attracted the attention of Modus and the human in charge of the remnant Enclave group. The Enclave may not have the physical manpower as the Brotherhood could provide, but it had access to a formidable army of robots. Though the Enclave has been operating more in the shadows under leadership of Enclave Remnants Officer Rains, the threat of the Enclave slowly grew, as they would interrupt operations from time to time that the Brotherhood of Steel conducted. In 2102, the Brotherhood of Steel was reforged from its former ashes, growing steadily, against all odds, thanks to vault dwellers and wastelanders alike.